Subnautica finally came to consoles this month after much anticipation, and this is survival done right. Subnautica features the staples of the genre, hunger, thirst, crafting, etc., but it's elevated by structure, with a mystery that's unraveled by progressing further into the world and an actual endgame to achieve. Subnautica succeeds where most other survival games don't. It has motivation beyond crafting, and add to that an absolutely stunning underwater environment. It's breathtaking initially, but beware, because, oh god, the further you dive, the more Subnautica becomes unexpectedly terrifying. Override Mech City Brawl is a game that you can kind of just understand by hearing the title. Now, I love me some giant robots, and I still play War of the Monsters and Godzilla Save the Earth to this day, so Override was right up my alley. It's an enjoyable fighting romp with some interesting combat mechanics, individual limbs being assigned to specific buttons, for example. Obviously, this kind of thing is best played together with friends, and to really push that notion, there is a mode in which each player controls a specific limb. Yeah, try doing that after a few drinks. And finally, Just Cause 4 has been causing a bit of a stir. It's a graphical downgrade from the previous game with hardly any updates to the gameplay, save for admittedly impressive destructive weather. And add to that several different screen effects causing nausea for a lot of players, combined with a low field of view, something that many took issue with in Just Cause 3, and you have an experience that's both derivative and unpleasant to play. And this is a real shame, because Just Cause as a series really hit its stride with the second game, showing how open world games can allow for creative play, and now, only 2 games later, very little has changed and much has only gotten worse. If you're asking me personally, just stick with Just Cause 2, and if you don't have Just Cause 2, just stick with Just Cause 3. Now on to my top 5 Xbox One exclusives, but before we start I have to be frank, the Xbox One exclusives this year have been severely lacking, so consider the first 2 games on this list to be damned with fine praise. Just because they were the best on offer doesn't necessarily mean that they were that good. So with that, at number 5 is Sea of Thieves. Now credit where credit is due, it's an impressive and enjoyable experience initially, but it does wear thin rather quickly, exposing a shell of an experience. Though fighting the Kraken is never not an amazing sight to behold, so there is that. And at number 4 is State of Decay 2. Now, full disclosure, I loved the first game, and it's for that reason why this is on the list, because State of Decay 2 has several legitimate flaws. However, the core gameplay loop is still incredibly absorbing, and both games are really the only kind of zombie experience that has truly kept me hooked. Now at number 3 we have Deep Rock Galactic. It has a crisp, appealing art style and diverse character class designs, surprisingly solid procedurally generated levels, and it's terrific in co-op, both tactical and tense and bombastic. At number 2, Forza Horizon 4. Seasons change, weather shifts, and driving conditions change with them. It's dynamic, and it's gorgeous, and it has a diverse range of vehicles which are all distinct in how they handle. It's everything you want from a racing game. Number 1, I'm going to give to Below. It's a little roguelike that uses the camera as a tool to create moments of oppressiveness or complete isolation. It's eerie and unnerving, yet gorgeous, with great uses of colour. It's a bizarre one, but I'd recommend it. Now these are my top 5 games generally available for Xbox One. Now it goes without saying, but it's always worth reminding you, the following are my personal top games of this year. There's a lot I didn't play, and a lot I didn't particularly like. That's just how it is. So, at number 5 we have Red Dead Redemption 2. Now despite me having open world fatigue this year, Red Dead still remains compelling thanks to an engaging narrative fueled by terrific character growth. The animations and the detail is unmatched, voice acting is top form, and the world so fully realised. It's an astounding technical achievement. Number 4 is Hitman 2. Huge levels, several little triggers and events, environmental interactions, uncountable options. Hitman 2 builds from the first game to deliver a pure Hitman experience. Number 3, as we've previously mentioned, Subnautica. Crafting, survival done right, a mystery to uncover, and an endgame to reach creates motivation, and it has a beautiful and terrifying world to explore. Number 2 is Hellblade. Though it was technically released last year, it came to Xbox this year. Now Hellblade is possibly the most honest and sincere depiction of mental trauma and instability since Silent Hill 2, I suppose. It's powerful and earnest, and I would argue that anyone with a psychological disorder should experience Hellblade. And finally, at number 1, we have Vampyr. Is it unpolished? Yes. Were its ambitions too big for its budget? Yes. Did I fall in love with it anyway? Yeah. It's an interesting mix of genres, the open hubs of Deus Ex, combat kind of similar to Bloodborne, and it features a moral choice mechanic that has tangible effects on gameplay. Vampyr is by no means polished, by no means perfect, but I did love it all the same, and I had the most fun with it this year.